right, I'm Tim Allen, Chair of the Finance Committee of the Springfield City Council, and I'm calling this meeting to order at 4:31 on April 28th, 2025. We have an agenda for today's meeting of one item, and it is the collective bargaining agreement ratification for the police, for the International Brotherhood of Police. It's been sent to us by Mayor Sarno. It's apparently been agreed to by both sides, and we have Bill Mahoney here to give us an update on the thing and see if anyone else wants to speak on it. Bill, why don't you get us started?
Sure. Good evening, councilors. Negotiations began on October 1st of 2024 for this group. There were 10 bargaining sessions. The previous contract expired on June 30th of 2024. There are approximately 411 employees in the bargaining unit, although that fluctuates. We've adopted a new field training officer policy in this contract, and part of that will be for the officers that are field training officers. They'll be paid $85 a week while they're actually doing the training. If they don't work for a week for whatever reason, they don't get that stipend for the week. We've moved the recruit pay. We had a recruit pay, and I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there were 2 attendance steps. We got rid of the recruit pay. We just moved them all to step 1. That should help us with retention and certainly with recruitment. We agreed that we would work on an app for the distribution of outside details. So the department has, you could imagine, a very robust detail program. A lot of it's paper generated, and other departments have moved to an app-based system, so it's right on their smartphones. And what they can do is they can either be notified of the availability of a detail, and they can accept or decline it. We're going to work that out. We've talked to Andy Doty, and we are going to a new time and attendance system, and we may be able to just dovetail that right in with what we're trying to do here. So we agreed we would work on that with them.
Can I ask you, I mean, so people sign up for the traffic details, or they get assigned, or
Right.
how does that work? Is it seniority?
Yeah, there's a detail office in the department.
Oh, no.
So they manage all the details that come in, a lot of our road
Yeah.
details, but
I
there's
see
also
them.
Mass Mutual Center for the hockey games or other events over there. There's, some of the bars have detail officers assigned to them depending on what's going on. And there's I think it starts with seniority, but then it's just a rotating. Not all officers agree to accept it, so they're not on the list. The superintendent might have more detail on that than I do.
But it's all voluntary, right?
It's voluntary for the details, yes, as I understand it.
For the
And then there's a system in place where if we can't fill it with our own officers, then we have retired officers that come back and they can work the details as well. And then if we don't fill it with that, there's the sheriff's department, and there's a whole pecking order of how we try to fill everything that comes in.
Oh, thank you for the information.
Before you continue, Bill, I just want to make sure I didn't introduce everybody that was here or have them introduce themselves. So Bill Mahoney's here. I'm sorry I didn't have your name, sir.
This is
Tatenich Temerary.
Thank you. And you guys work together.
Yes.
Kathy Bono, Chief Administrative and Financial Officer. Hilary Walsh and I are here from the City Council. Stephen Howard often attends our meetings here, a citizen. And I see Lindsay Hackett in TV land. Is that Jay Latore?
No, that's Jose Delgado.
That's Jose Delgado. Okay. Thank you. And then I can't tell, there's 2 rooms. No, the one room is us, but
Superintendent Akers.
Superintendent Akers. And do you have other people in there with you?
No, it's me. No.
All right, great. Okay, so I want to make sure everybody knew everybody was here. So Bill, why don't you continue, and then Superintendent Akers, would like to hear, your thoughts.
Sure. So under all of our collective bargaining agreements and our non-bargaining, we have a bereavement leave benefit that we provide to employees. And it's, they have a listing of relatives that you would qualify for some bereavement leave if that occurred. And what we did is, it's typically 3 days, but we've added 2 days to this bargaining unit in case it's a spouse or a child of the employee.
How long is a normal bereavement
It's
leave?
usually around 3 days. It depends on bargaining unit and what we've negotiated.
So who makes the list?
It's father, mother, brother, sister, aunt, uncle. They usually are 1 day for those. Sometimes stepchildren. It's any relative living in the household at the time of death or the last illness. Again, it differs between different groups, but those are typically who we have in there.
And what was the change you made for this?
For this group, we added 2 additional days of leave if it's the death of a spouse or a child of the employee.
Thank you.
Let's hope it's not a child. That's for sure.
Wage increases for this group, we agreed to 3.5% per year for each year. It's a total of 4 years. The first contract covers the period of July 1, 2024 to June 30th of 2025. And the next contract covers the period of July 1, 2025 to June 30th of 2028. There's a few other more minor changes in there. We cleaned up some language that where there was a typographical error or something just didn't make any sense in the way it was worded, over a period of time. For instance, there's a reference to the mobile digital recording. We had a joint study committee on that. Years ago, the city had proposed body worn or a type of camera, a cruiser camera. And in that case, went all the way to interest arbitration. And in that award, we were awarded language saying there'll be a study committee. Well, as you know very well, since then, we've gone beyond that and we now have body worn cameras. So we figured we might as well just take that section out of the contract. It's not applicable anymore. So that's what we do. It's a great contract, I think, for both sides. Where the administration certainly would encourage the council to ratify this tonight. And it would be good for the officers to know, what their compensation will be for the next, 3 years, 3 months.
Can I just ask one more question?
Sure.
Was there a sticking point or was it a pretty smooth negotiation?
There is always a sticking point, council. There's
Okay.
usually multiple sticking points when we go on the road, yes. But after the 10th session, we had removed all the sticking points and got to make a deal. So, but there's always things that we're asking for and there's always things that they're asking for and they kind of fall by the wayside and we eventually figure out the path forward.
Well, I always support things that are bargained in good faith.
That's great. This is only 9 months after the previous one expired.
Yeah.
Usually it's longer than that.
It can be. It all it depends. I mean, there's some uncertainty in the economy at this point, and there are concerns about that. So there's reasons for people to move faster than normal. It's with a lot of our groups, they don't come to the table until after their contract has expired. We don't actually sit across them until then. And that was the case here. They came in October, their contract had expired on June 30th. A lot of that is vacation scheduling. It's my schedule, it's the tender schedule, it's their schedule. But we did some hard work there.
Great. Superintendent Akers, did you want to comment on it?
Yes, good afternoon. I don't really have a lot to say about it. I just want to thank Bill. I mean, because I know he's been working hard at this and, my deputy chiefs who are also assigned to help Bill out. The mayor and everyone else involved and, the young man sitting right next to Bill there. I know that he puts a lot of effort into it also, may not get as much of the attention as everyone else. But I just say that, our job is to serve the community. And I think that with this new contract, it's somewhat just, it takes the weight off of the officers and what they're doing, and they can just go ahead and do exactly what they're supposed to do. And that's serve and protect our community. And that's my, the main thing that I want. So I think that this, as Bill said, is a good contract for everyone. Everyone got a little bit of everything, and I would hope that the city council would consider passing the contract so we can continue moving on with the job that we have to do.
Okay, thanks for your comments. We never know how long a city council meeting is going to be, but this one's probably.
Don't make any predictions.
Counselor Govan's on there.
I see Counselor Govan. Thanks for joining. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Thank you. No, I had a question earlier regarding how long the contract was in negotiations. I'm glad to hear it wasn't that long of a period of time. And of course, I'm very supportive of our police in the city. And if Chief Akers doesn't have any concerns, and if the representative, I know Marty emailed us earlier and said that, you know, he's in support and he's in agreement with it. So I will gladly support this movement when we get to the city council. Thank you,
Great.
Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Counselor Delgado, did you want to speak on it? I don't know what country you're in right now or whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll forgive you for the mistaken identity earlier. I know I'm bald and bearded, but no, I
have to make
appreciate.
it perfectly clear that I can't see the screen very well.
I know. You're far. I'm usually there to help you on that piece.
You are.
But Bill, I want to just say thank you to you and your team for getting this done, Superintendent Akers. I was just curious. I know you mentioned some highlights, early on. I guess I'm just curious to know a little bit more about what are the significant differences between this contract and the previous contract we had. So I know you said there was 3.5% per year. I guess what are the significant changes that I may have missed in your opening there?
So certainly the wages which we discussed, we are looking to go to an app-based system for the distribution of outside details, which will be, I think, great for both the city and for the employees. We are eliminating the recruit step, which is the step in the contract when someone is in the police academy for the 26 weeks. We're just going to pay those people at step one instead, which is what the officers are at after they get out of the academy. Bereavement leave, we've added 2 days for the death of a spouse or child. It's usually 3 days for people that are listed in the contract that this covers. And then we cleaned up some language. We removed the agency fee language pursuant to the Janus decision. We got that out of the contract. We cleared up some. We clarified some language with respect to lost or stolen equipment. We have the right to pay members all through direct deposit. Most people are on direct deposit, but we want to have that in the contract. We also have contract language on payroll advices, which most of our employees are using. We have recorded in the contract what the FLSA rule is, that it will be 28 days. It's what we were following anyways, but we want to have that in the contract, so there's no question about it. And then there was
what's the FS, I guess the acronym there. What was that?
That's the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Okay.
And I can drill down to all the details on that if you want, but we'll be here for a very long time if I start getting.
No. I just kind of wanted, high level, just kind of differences. Sure. Just to understand. I know you said each side got stuff that they wanted, so I was just curious to know what some of those things were. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to support this. As for our police officers, I know that, we've got a pretty young force, and I know that Superintendent Akers is doing everything he can to kind of keep folks on the job and continue to recruit and promote. And so, but I was just curious on those those differences, especially after our audit committee. I learned a lot more about some of the things that you mentioned were kind of bargaining chips and things like that. So I'm just curious to I'm paying attention to some of that stuff, not just from the police, but for every one of the kind of bargaining units that we go through. I'm just curious that process. So I was curious about that. And then secondly is, how many folks are part of this union currently? And I guess how many were part of it during the previous? I don't know if you have that number available.
It's approximately 411 employees, at least at the time that we were in our numbers, our financials and our negotiations, we were looking at 411. But I'm sure that ebbs and flows depending on retirements and recruit classes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and maybe that's a question for Superintendent Akers. I know there's a lot expected in terms of folks retiring, and I know there's a big effort in terms of recruitment. I mean, for Springfield, and I know that it's the same challenge statewide and across the nation. So, So anything we can do to continue to recruit the best top talent and get them to stay in Springfield, we definitely need to support. So I just was curious on what the numbers were currently.
Is that a,
That's it.
all right, you're all set. Okay.
Right, no, I would actually add, it is somewhere around 411, but we've had several things happen recently to where, you know, retirements and some other things to where our numbers have decreased. But we also have an academy that is graduating this Thursday of 45 people. So we'll bring it back up, but we are still below, but we're making strides in that. And I do believe that our numbers will be up. Hopefully, we'll get another academy class of 50 people in, and we'll come up more towards the 514 that we would hope to have. We certainly won't do it in just this next academy, but we're still growing. We're still striving to do that. But right now it is right around 405 to 411, as Attorney Mahoney said.
So the
Thank you.
four, oh, great, thank you, thanks, Superintendent. Just to clarify, the 405 or 411, that number, that does not include the people graduating?
But imagine that would
Or
probably,
does it?
it probably would, I would imagine, yeah.
Does that include the people graduating?
Well, to my knowledge, that it should include the people graduating, but I have to tell you, I'm not on that end of it. So I don't know exactly what the contract says at this time, because until it's passed by city council and everyone else, I don't get the finalization of the contract. So I would think that everything budget wise has already been taken into consideration with the people that are coming on.
Okay, thank you.
Makes sense.
Kathy, could you comment from a financial standpoint on our readiness to pay the new amounts and all that?
So given the fact that we're able to settle it in the same year, there isn't a huge payout. I mean, you know, it's just this year. So we've estimated the approximate payout will be 1.4 million. And the police department does have that within their budget this year to pay it. So I will not be coming to you for free cash as of right now for that. We passed a lot of the unions, and for salary savings, we're able to cover them, but I will be coming to you in June. I may need to move money between departments. Some departments that had, were mostly union and they had the signing bonuses, I may need to move money from other departments around, and I will do that. I'm not gonna do that until June. But as of right now, we have enough money within this budget to not have to use free cash to pay out.
Great.
That's good. So normally we're paying
Normally,
the
it's
back
back,
pay
so
thing,
it's
right?
more than a year, and there's not enough salary savings, so they do have to go into free cash, and I think you've transferred in the past free cash. I think the last one that was at least 2 years before you settled.
Yeah, sometimes they go, if we're in interest arbitration, it can
Yeah.
go a couple of years.
Yeah, so that's when you do, but right now it's within this year, so we're able to pay it out of the salary savings, which is a good thing.
Well, that must be great for morale, then, if you're able to, you don't have to go to 2 years.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think it is good for morale council. That is, it's a positive.
Good.
All right, yeah, Stephen, do you have a question?
Evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Stephen Howard from McKnight neighborhood. Couple of questions. The extended grieving time for police officers when they experience loss, right? Are they currently covered for like grief counseling when they experience loss in their family?
Well, certainly we have a number of programs available to all of our employees. We have 2 EAP programs that are available, and then there's a special program. One of them has a carve-out just for police officers. So if there's some, and firefighters. So if there's something that someone is going through, they would have that as something to fall back to. We also have a peer support program within the police department. So someone, you know, that you're working with might be looking out for you as well and pulling you aside. So I think the department is sensitive to that. We know that's a huge, huge life event for anyone.
Yeah, because it's kind of different when you're out there, it's part of your job, but when it hits home, you know.
Exactly.
And have a question for Superintendent Akers. Happy to see that you were at the event on Saturday, Superintendent. Now, since there are volunteers who work the details that you talked about with traffic and so forth, right? Superintendent, you might want to give some consideration to maybe using that as a way to recruit some of the folks into the department by having them like work those details. Maybe there could be a line item budget so that they could get some kind of stipend. Because when these young people start filling in for these positions, they may get interested in becoming police officers, which could address some of your recruiting problems. And the other thing I'd like to suggest is, whenever you have these community events, whether it be Stone Soul Festival or wherever, that you have some recruiting going on there as well. I mean, at all of them, not just show up just for security and so forth, but show up and, try to encourage folks to sign up to be recruiters, and that may actually help address the shortages that you're experiencing. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, not seeing anybody else with their hands up or anybody here. Is any kind of last call? Any comments? I don't see any hands. So Counselor Delgado and Counselor Walsh and I are the Finance Committee. Would one of you like to make
Yeah,
a motion?
Make a motion that we make a positive recommendation to the full council to accept the police contract
Okay, thanks.
unanimously.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Delgado. Thanks. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Great. So we'll take it to the council meeting at 7, and all good news, sounds like. Great. Appreciate it. Nice job, Bill, getting this done. That's yeah.
As long as everybody's happy, that's.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you. Thank you, everybody.